Hey Facebook page, it has been forever since I've been on here, and so I wanted to do a quick live regarding price. Price is definitely the single biggest reason that people come to me. They're struggling to ask the price, they're struggling to get the price, they're feeling awkward around talking about price to their potential customers. And so, first of all, before I get into the nitty gritty of why prices can be such a sticking point with your customers, I want to address the mindset side of stuff as far as you and your price is concerned. Okay, the best thing to do to feel more confident about price is to do your research, to figure out what your competitors are charging, where you fit in the market, where your experience is, what you're providing to that customer, and therefore what value you're offering. Figuring out all those things so you can feel more confident asking your price, knowing that you've researched it, knowing that you haven't just plucked it out of thin air, knowing that you've actually done your research and you feel confident. So if somebody was to say to you, actually, why do you charge what you charge? You can succinctly and easily say that without feeling like, oh crap, I wish the ground had swallowed me up. So, definitely get your head in the right place, understand the value that you provide, understand the journey that you've come on and the cost that you've incurred to get to where you are, so that you can impart this information with people and provide this offering to them. How much is that worth to them? How much would that cost them to do the same thing? So once you've done that and you're feeling confident about it, then hopefully you will feel better talking to potential customers about your price. Okay, but price is an objection. So once you're in that conversation, people, again, they regularly say to me, price is the thing that comes up again and again and again. People say they love what I do and it's really interesting and they really want it, but they just can't afford it. Okay, and that as an objection, price as an objection, comes down to three fundamental things. Okay, it is either number one, genuine. Okay, this person genuinely is really interested in what you do, but they just can't afford it. Okay, there is no point backing people into a corner, getting them to take out loans, getting them to default on their mortgage so they can afford you. Okay, it is just the fact that they are not in the position where it's a win-win situation. So there is no point selling to them. Okay, so you can look then. You could, what to do in that case is a totally different live altogether, but I'll go into it on this one. Is the fact that you can look at your product offering, you can scale it back to provide people who, provide the people in your audience with something that they can afford. I do my 6 weeks to success. I do that because it's a group coaching, so I can charge less for it. That gives people access to me what they wouldn't be able to afford a one-to-one. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is to look at, actually, where am I fishing? Where am I currently putting my message out there? Where am I currently, what's my current route to market? Where is my market? How am I getting this wrong? How am I ending up in a pond where people can't afford me? How can I fish in a pond where people can? And so it's understanding where you're at now and what you need to do, what changes you need to make to get in front of the right people. Okay, that's number one. So that's if it's a genuine issue. Number two, it can be a false objection. Okay, it can be the fact that that person's telling you that because that's the easiest thing to tell you in order to get rid of you. Yeah, they don't want to talk to you anymore. They don't want to be sold at anymore. They don't want to find out anything more about your product. They're thanks but no thanks. Okay, and so price is a very easy way. There's no getting around that. You can't be like, well, actually, it's got this feature, it's got that feature. Price is a decent line under that conversation. Or it can be, okay? So you've got to bear that in mind when I come on to number three. Number three being that they don't see the value in what you've got to offer, okay? So it can be the fact that people are like, actually, you just haven't given me a compelling enough reason to want to use your product. And that's the thing is thinking about what people can afford. If you're there thinking, well, wait a minute, these people have told me they can't afford me, and then the next minute they're hiring somebody who's like 3 times the price as you, what's happened? Okay, so you've got to think then, actually, is it the fact that I just haven't given enough information, I haven't given the right information that resonates with this customer for them to understand how I can help them? And so they've been in a position where they've spoken to somebody else, they've charged more, but they've been like, actually, this person really fits what I need, which is always really frustrating, especially if you know that you could have done a better job than that person who's charging more. So what to do in that case is to look back at your process, look back at the conversations you've had, back at the messages that you put out there and see where you could get that information through to that potential customer better. What you're looking for is meeting their needs, okay? Is looking at what need they have and then, meeting that need by being clear where your product fits. So, you need something which is reliable, which is smart looking, which gets you from A to B. I provide a really reliable, really smart thing. This is very basic, but which gets you from A to B. Yeah. So, I totally fit with what you're looking for. There you go. Saying to them, actually, my thing has provided you with, has been shown to be reliable for like 8 years or something like that. Okay. Oh, thank you for the love, Liz. I presume it's Liz, but somebody's loving me. But you've got to resonate with that person. If you're not resonating with them, they're going to run off and find somebody else and pay more, which then is just really disheartening. So if you are in that bit where you're teetering and you're like, I'm not sure if it's number 1, 2, or 3. Why is this person just telling me this? A really easy, quick test is to talk them through how you might be able to scale back your offering. So, okay, I'm sorry you can't afford it at that price. What sort of price point were you looking at? What price point were you working to? Okay, well, what we can do then is we can scale it back and we can do this, this, and this. How does that work for you? And then, or price plan or something else. Oh, thank you, Liz. I did some photos today for, business, because Martin, obviously, shaving all his hair off, has totally dated our photos. And then now I look at our website and think, wow, it looks like he's got a small rodent on his head. So what we've had to do is we've had to get new corporate photos done. So a lady came out and made me look nice. So I was like, right. So I've been like, tonight I've got the kids in bed. I've done a couple of sales calls, and then I've been like, on it, doing all these different videos. So don't worry, I'm not subjecting anybody else on Facebook to all these, but I've done some videos, some business ones where my hair's lighter and yada yada, so that I can actually put them out into the public domain. So yeah, looking half decent, but now I feel like I've upped my game, so I'm going to need a makeup woman all the time just to do a live. But anyway, I digress. The thing is with this is testing where that person's at. If that person goes, yeah, okay, great, let's scale it back, let's do a payment plan, let's do X, let's do Y. They're interested in your solution, so it is genuine. It's a stretch for them, but you're able to manage that stretch. Okay, if they're still like, no, I'm all right, thanks, don't worry about it, then you are still teetering between them not seeing the value and it being an excuse. I would say at that point it's seeing the value in an excuse as opposed to a genuine, I can't afford this. And then in which case it's looking back through your processes and saying, did I really line up what they were looking for with what I can provide? Do I really line up with what I can provide and what they're looking for? Because if you can't, right, just don't sell somebody something that actually doesn't work for them. Like it really perplexes me. Because it just gives sales a bad name. It does badly for your brand, because if that person isn't going to get what they want out of what you're going to offer them, then they're going to end up feeling like you were shit, when actually you could have been really good if you were offering them the right thing. And also it gives you a really good opportunity to find out more about what they're after. If you do know somebody who can help them, then recommend that person. If you can't recommend somebody, then then be honest and say, I can't. But if you can, then do, because that person is going to be really impressed. Some of your biggest advocates can come from people who actually don't use you because they can't afford you, or you're just not right fit, but they really rate you because you put your hands up and went, you know what, actually we're not good for you right now. And so be honest with your potential customers. It does you loads of favours in the long run, instead of being a money grabbing person that no one's ever going to like. So make sure you do that. But if it is the value thing, go through your process and figure out, how can I do this better? What should I have said? What can I say next time? And always use these opportunities when you're talking to people about price, when you're talking to people about what they're after, to really understand that customer. I had a little discussion with somebody a couple of weeks ago, at an event, because they didn't like my feedback. They asked for my feedback. I gave them their feedback. It's all very confusing sometimes, isn't it, with feedback? But I gave my feedback and they didn't actually like it. It was a really, really good opportunity for them to understand more from their potential customer. But instead, the problem is that you can be too close with your business, and instead, you just end up feeling offended, and that's really bad. So, always make sure that if you're asking for feedback, that you're open to it, and try your hardest not to be defensive with it and get offended, and just take it on board and understand it's a really, really good learning opportunity. Some companies pay thousands of pounds to understand their customer better. I think some companies really need to spend a lot more because they get so detached from it. They are in their head office, they're not there in front of their customer, understanding their customer properly. And so it's a real opportunity when you're speaking to your customer. You're so lucky that you're speaking to your customer face to face, and you can really understand from them where they're at and what they do and don't want. Anyway, this has turned into a really long live, and so I'm going to leave it there. But please remember, with price, it's a really good indication that something isn't quite right. And look back over your processes, look back at your customer, look back at who you're targeting, and figure out so that next time you can learn from it and it can not be such a problem. Thanks for listening.